Stephen Curry has been lucky in a lot of ways. Lucky to have been born with an unflappable temperament. Lucky to have good genes as the son of an NBA player who could also fill it up. Lucky to have been passed on by, some teams, and to be drafted by a forward-thinking franchise that allowed him to be himself in a forward-thinking city in a part of the world where ideas are valued above everything. The idea of Stephen Curry has been a simple but revolutionary one, and for the time being, difficult to deny.
Steph Curry was a whiz kid, he could really shoot the ball. The pull-ups and the step-backs, he must have shot them all. The league see nothing like him, nothing's a kid at all. That wiry kid from Davidson sure shoots a mean 3-ball.
In the entire history of the NBA, there have only been 5 occasions where a player has attempted over 600 threes, hit over 40% of them, and maintained a true shooting percentage of at least 55%. Each season belonged to Steph Curry, and each of them has come in 5 of the last 6 years. That excellence opened some eyes and changed the landscape of the NBA in a hurry. In 2009 and 10, Curry's rookie year in the NBA, only Aaron Brooks attempted over 500 threes over the course of the season. The following year, only Jarrell Wright hit that mark. By 2012-13, the revolution had truly begun. Curry and the Mellow King, Klay Thompson, attempted a combined 1,126 threes in a single season. Golden State's full-on embrace of the three spurred a trend that spread like wildfire. Today, in 2018-19, 17 players attempted over 500 threes, and 15 of those shot over 35% on those attempts. But no one's done it quite like Steph, though. Imagine a high-end, 5-star restaurant that can deliver their typical quality from a souped-up food truck with the speed of a fast food chain. That is what the brilliance of Stephen Curry's shooting is like. Even on the move, he can efficiently produce, and he can do it quickly. Especially in the playoffs, Curry's got the greenest of green lights. Since his live dribble shooting is one of the truly unsolvable problems in basketball, the Warriors predictably lean way in on that advantage. In each of the last 5 seasons, Curry's unassisted three-point makes, that is, threes that he creates for himself in isolation and in pick and roll, have ratcheted up significantly from the regular season to the playoffs. Granted, the addition of world-class talent has, at times, made it harder to keep everyone happy. But when it's winning time, Steve Kerr has typically kept it simple. Cut the crap and let it fly. Curry's unlike a lot of dominant scorers in the fact that essentially none of his scoring is done with his back to the defender, and the landscape that he forces you to defend is expansive. Of his 354 made three-pointers this season, 61 of them have come from 28 feet or beyond. Of the 2,350 square feet of court between the baseline and half court, Steph forces you to guard all of it with his ridiculous shot-making, fantastic ball handling, and spatial intelligence. There are plenty of players within the league that specialize in shooting in 1 or 2 scenarios, but aside from Curry and maybe Dame Lillard, no one specializes in them all. When he passes the ball, you should be on high alert. Even if the play doesn't appear to be structured to get him a look, even if you've stifled him on a single action, the play is never over. His sense of how to punish an inattentive or resting defender is expert. Like a teenager in a Freddy Krueger movie, if you fall asleep for even a moment, you dead. In transition, you'd better be on high alert. At a seemingly pedestrian 6'3" and 190 pounds, Curry was 5th in the NBA this season in fast break points, in the company of guys like LeBron, Westbrook, and some Greek fella named Giannis. When he's the screener within a set play, you should be on super high alert. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are the best in the league at setting up decoy screens and then sprinting through the play and getting wide open. Their exceptional off-ball IQ is enough to serve merely as a distraction in order for Golden State to run actions on the opposite side of the floor, but it's a distraction that you can't ignore. Steph and Klay have come off more screens than anyone in the NBA, and Curry has an effective field goal percentage of 64.1 in those situations. On broken plays, Yes, you're starting to get the hang of it. When the scramble to find a defensive assignment leaves you counting heads, it's not unusual for teams to say, oops, we just lost track of the best shooter in the history of basketball. Stopping one of these scenarios is a task in and of itself. Stopping all of them is something resembling a miracle. So, what can you do? It's sort of like choosing the type of blade that you'd like to be stabbed with. I know. Not being stabbed is typically the way to go, but that's off the table, unfortunately.
There are levels of survival we are prepared to accept.
Teams have tried just about everything over the years. Crowd him, funnel him, attempt to deny him. Everything from physically pushing what modern rules will allow to aggressively switching everything all the time. It's a problem that's only become more complex when the Warriors effectively swapped Harrison Barnes for Kevin Durant. Aside from maybe Roy Williams, that's a trade that most of us would make. For a time, teams were so concerned with simply getting the ball out of Curry's hands that they would blitz him and try to force someone else, someone theoretically less capable, to make a tough decision. But with Kevin Durant on the roster, that's become less and less of a good idea. The Durant-Curry pick and roll is one of the most devastating offensive actions that we have ever seen. The complexity of Golden State's offense cannot be solved with equal complexity in the form of gimmick defenses, but rather the opposite. Over time, the overwhelming majority of teams, including those remaining in these playoffs, have moved back towards a traditional defensive pick and roll approach to combat this. Play it straight up as best as you can and hope that the forecast doesn't call for a monsoon. Overhelping is a dangerous game to play with the Warriors' other talent. Selling out to stop one wrinkle can lead to chaotic, recovery-heavy defensive possessions, which is a scenario where the Warriors thrive and often demoralize teams. There's also the idea that you can stay aggressively attached over the top of the screen and bait him into the longer mid-range area, where he can be put into a crowd and forced to make difficult decisions and pass the ball against length. That approach requires consistent pressure from the screen player and awareness of where the screen is coming from. That's hard to do over and over again. If that pressure isn't there, he's shooting a three. If it is there, he's coming into the mid-range to potentially shoot. Is that a win? Depending on who you are, possibly. Still, all of this relies on the idea that Curry accepts that outcome and forces a tough shot or a tough pass. The Raptors, the Bucks, the Celtics, and Rockets all have the personnel to take that approach and potentially have success. Every approach has a caveat. Every rose has its thorn. Even if you find some extended success, he's capable of rattling off a run that could break your back and make you humble. When it comes down to it, ultimately, you're hoping for some luck. And if the Warriors stay healthy and hang together and avoid hanging each other, the team that's hoping to take them down will be counting on a good dose of it. Let me know if you agree.